Hello, friends. This is Thaddeus from Going Nerdy, and I don't know if you've turned on the television or turned on the news, but this has been all over my feed, and I just had to talk about it because I was here and I was talking with my good friend, the Nev, when this originally happened, when Gina Corano was let go from Disney. Now, today, some huge news has just happened, and I'm really excited to see where it goes. So with that, let's go ahead and look at this. This is Gina Carano's tweet. So if you don't know, Gina Carano was fired in 2021 after, I believe, the second season of The Mandalorian. And what an amazing season it was. It was arguably one of the best pieces of television that had come out up to that point for Disney, and it was great. I mean, it wasn't as good as Mando 1, but that's for different reasons. Now let's go ahead and take a look at what she said today, and this is again huge. She is filing a lawsuit against Disney and Lucasfilm, right? So this, regardless of how this turns out, this is going to bring to the more mainstream some of the more problematic aspects of what we've been seeing from Disney, from Lucasfilm, and from other studios under the Disney umbrella. So here we go. After my 20 years of building a career from scratch and during the regime of former Disney CEO Bob Chapek, Lucasfilm made this statement on Twitter terminating me from The Mandalorian. Gina Carano is not currently employed by Lucasfilm, and there's no plans for her to be in the future. Nevertheless, her social media posts denigrating people based on their culture and religious identities are abhorrent and unacceptable. Nothing could be further from the truth. The truth is I was being hunted down from everything I posted to every post I liked because I was not in line with the acceptable narrative of the time. My words were consistently twisted to demonize and dehumanize me as an alt-right wing extremist. It was a bullying smear campaign aimed at silencing, destroying, and making an example out of me. The thing is, I never used aggressive language. I shared thought-provoking pictures, memes, and occasionally I used my own words, not with aggression, but with respect and the occasional comedy to keep the mood light in dark times. And I think, regardless of left or right, wherever you fall on the spectrum, personally speaking, Thaddeus from Going Nerdy, I feel like we have fallen on dark times. It has gotten so that we can't share an opinion without looking at someone and saying, I hate you for your thoughts, for disagreeing with me. When we shouldn't hate each other for having disagreements, we should look at the disagreements and say, while I disagree with you, maybe there's a valid point that we can come together on. We may disagree here, but can we agree on other areas? And I think that's where a lot of people are. I think most people have more in common than they have different. She continues, she says, look with your own eyes at what I posted and ask yourself, for example, where did I compare Republicans to Jewish people in the Holocaust? I didn't. Ask yourself why they're calling me a racist. Was there any merit behind that or history of it whatsoever? No. Look at why I was called a transphobe for making droid noises from Star Wars. Beep, bop, boop was obviously directed to the online bullies and did not in any way denigrate trans people. And I agree, right? She's just trying to be a little lighthearted. Now, the tweet in question, I don't know what they call them now, the X in question was this here. Now on the left is the full size, but I've highlighted the text so that you can see it a little better. It says, Jews were beaten in the streets, not by Nazi soldiers, but by their neighbors, even by children. Because history is edited, most people today don't realize that to get to this point where the Nazi soldiers could easily round up thousands or millions of Jews, I'm adding, the government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being Jews. How is that any different from hating someone for their political views? Question mark. In all fairness, look at what she's actually saying. This could apply to a person on the left or a person on the right or a person in the center. How can you hate someone for simply disagreeing with you? That's what she's asking. Any group of people who denigrate, who hate someone for being or believing a religious ideology, believing a political ideology, whatever. That's wrong, right? And I think that's what this post is saying. Now, when this post went live and all of this was happening originally back in 2021, I remember talking with my good friend, the Nev, and we talked about how ridiculous this is. She was blacklisted on mainstream Hollywood. And what's interesting about this is this feels very reminiscent to the Red Scare of McCarthyism back in the 1950s, I think. Can't remember the actual date, so if I'm off by decades, forgive me. But it's that same concept. People were blacklisted because they weren't patriotic enough. Now people are being blacklisted because they're not woke enough. It is a problem. We can disagree on things and still agree that people have merit, have value. Now, this is what's interesting. Like, she continues on, and this is a fabulous post. So a couple months ago, Elon Musk tweeted that if you had been fired from using the platform X for exercising your right to free speech, he would like to offer these people legal representation. Quite the notable offer, right? Which it totally is. But never in my wildest dreams would I have thought anyone would take on my case against Lucasfilm and Disney. Still, I didn't respond back. I did respond back. I think I qualify. And thousands of people agreed. But I did not expect anything. To my surprise, a few months ago, I received an email from a lawyer who had been hired by X to look into my story, and many others. I love that. Many others. Turns out, after sending them as much information as I could gather these past few months, my now lawyers and X believe wholeheartedly in my case and are moving forward. This is huge. Now, why is this so big? One actress being fired? Well, this is huge for a number of reasons. First and foremost, Disney isn't looking the greatest. Right now, this gentleman on the left, his name is Nelson Peltz, is looking to find new seats on the Disney board because he's a board member, and he says to himself and he says to others, like, look, we need to make sure that Disney's making a profit, right? A lot of things that Disney has put out recently have been at best lackluster, but they haven't made them as much money as they probably should. Now, one of the reasons why this is so interesting is if you take a look at the Disney profits, as of today, they are $99 a share. They dropped down to about $90 a share for a while, and then even below. So this is the 1 day mark. Here is the 6th month mark. Look at the ups and downs that Disney has gone through, right? In October, they were down to $82, right? Year to date, 1 year, they were up. And this is why it's so interesting. They were up at $110, and then they dropped. If you go to 5 years, this is a very rocky roller coaster of itself. Right? Nelson Peltz is he's this guy who's trying to get Disney back on track. Whether you agree with him or not, doesn't matter. But why is it important? Why is Gina Corano an X? Why is this such an important thing? Well, I don't know if you remember, but there was a time recently that a lot of advertisers were going to boycott Twitter. They were like, you know what? We don't like Elon Musk. We don't like what he's going to say. And we don't like the way that he says. And they did. And Elon was like, well, if you boycott it and Twitter closes, it closes and whatever, right? But he didn't stop. And so this very much, the fact that activist Nelson Peltz is trying to change the board is interesting. Why is Gina Carano's article interesting? Well, connecting here, if we look, there was a movie premiere just this last weekend, and Elon Musk shows up. And one of the things that he says as he shows up, and clearly he looks super well dressed. The man here to his left is Nelson Peltz. This is Nelson Peltz's daughter. They're posing. He's saying, I'm here to, enjoy a movie and meet with some friends. It's like, well, what are you going to do? And they're like, well, we're going to talk about, I don't know, buying some businesses. And that's kind of a nod to this. Why is this so important? Well, Elon Musk, he's the richest man in the world right now. Or if he's not right now, he's up there, right? And this is huge. Like, this is so big. Disney was one of those companies that decided, hey, you know what? Along with Apple and IBM, Lionsgate, Disney, Comcast, NBC, Warner Brothers, Discovery, all of these people were like, we're going to boycott X. And what I find funny is now that Disney is in some dire straits financially, Elon's coming in. This is a fascinating connection, right? There's a lot of stuff going on here. And I don't know. I like the concepts that we're seeing. Now, finally, and this is total speculation, with the loss of Grief Karga, with the loss of Carl Weathers, the character Gina Corano portrayed was Cara Dune. And Cara Dune was one of the main characters. And up until she was fired, she had a line on a new TV show where she was going to be the head of the show. Now, do I think that this suing of Disney with all of this other stuff is going to, I don't know, just all of a sudden give her a career back or make her a lead of the show? Not necessarily. But we do know that season 4 of the Mando's not coming out for like 2 or 3 more years, right? And there's a lot of information that can happen between now and then, right? It took, I think, it took like 6 months, maybe 9 months from the moment that Elon Musk announced that he was like, well, I'm thinking about buying Twitter, to the actual purchase, right? A lot can happen between now and then, right? And we know that Lucasfilm specifically they're struggling, right? They need some really big wins. Now, personally, I don't know. It's sad to see Apollo Creed go. It's sad to see Grief Karga, make his final goodbye. Carl Weathers was a great actor, and by all accounts, everyone who worked with him loved him and thought the man just to be like salt of the earth, wonderful and great. And if that's the case, he's going to be massively missed. Now, from what I've heard from fans is that not only was he just like fun to be around and fun to listen to, but he loved Star Wars. And I think if we can get Gina back on board, if we can get more actors who love Star Wars back on board, I think this can become a push in the right direction. Is Gina going to be, I don't know, is this going to go anywhere? I think absolutely it is. And so this is just so fascinating to me how everything is now connecting and strings are being pulled and things are happening. What will happen ultimately? I don't know. I don't have any idea. But I'm really excited to see where this goes. Now, please leave your thoughts, your comments. Do you think this is a good thing, a bad thing? Are you excited for this? Let me know in the section below. Like, subscribe, share. Check out the links in the section below where you can go to the Going Nerdy merch store. We've got tons of cool stuff to help the channel. Anyways, friends, this has been Thaddeus from Going Nerdy. Like, subscribe, and share. And as always, smile and stay nerdy.